Raleigh is a complicated city, even for those living here. But if you're thinking of relocating to Raleigh, there are some critical things that you need to know that can make or break your Raleigh experience. I work with a wide range of clients relocating from all over the United States. And with being one of the first people to really introduce them to Raleigh, I get to hear about the aspects of Raleigh that surprise them the most. So here's a list of the top 10 things that you should know about living in Raleigh, compiled from those who have just moved here. So one of the biggest revelations that newcomers have is that downtown is not the epicenter of entertainment, and that Raleigh's entertainment overall is spread out and can be hard to find. This is absolutely true. The core of downtown Raleigh has historically been pretty calm, with a more relaxed vibe to its nightlife, even with the addition of the Red Hat Amphitheater's concert and numerous musical festivals. You have to go to Glenwood South at the edge of downtown to find the real nightlife. And while Glenwood South's scene is fun, it's not nearly to the scale of some larger cities. But Raleigh also has what many deem as its second downtown in the North Hills development that has its own variety of entertainment and nightlife. Many of the larger suburbs have their own unique developments, and even Raleigh's major sports are located well outside the downtown area. So when seeing this, many newcomers are surprised given how reliant other cities are on their downtown areas. And there are both pros and cons to this setup, with the main pros being reduced crowds and traffic, but the main con is one of the biggest complaints that I've seen about Raleigh from the younger crowd, and that's that it's hard to meet people. In part because Raleigh is so spread out. There isn't that one general spot that everyone goes to hang out. There are places all over, and that can lead to it being harder than many expect to meet people. So for those with families, meeting people should not be too hard given how family-oriented the area is. But whether you have a family or you're single, know that there are plenty of things to do and places to meet people, but you'll have to look for them. What I mean by that is Raleigh has just as many events, meetups, and more going on than any other city, but since it's spread out, they are harder to just stumble upon. So you really need to monitor sites like Visit Raleigh, among others, that post regularly about the events happening around the city. So by doing some research there, I'm confident that you'll find there are more ways to meet people than you see at first. Now, one thing is for certain though, you will need a car in Raleigh. To some people, this is a given, but for those who come from more walkable cities and rarely used a car, you'll find that Raleigh is very reliant on getting around with your own car. We do not have any sort of mass transit for everyday travel beyond the bus system, and we really don't have any true walkable communities where you have everything you need. But even so, the vast majority of people will find they want a car so they can take advantage of what the city offers. And while we are on transportation, for those who fly consistently, you will love the RDU airport. It's an international airport with tons of direct flights, and it's rarely ever crowded. It will feel like a breeze compared to most other airports. Back to driving, one of the most unexpected revelations from those coming to Raleigh for the first time are how many trees that there are. But there is an overlooked downside to that, and that's winding roads mixed with significant tree cover can make it difficult to navigate even with GPS. Raleigh has done a good job maintaining tree coverage over the years, and you can be right in the middle of a city and sometimes not feel like it. It can also create challenges with navigation and missing your turns and destinations, as your line of sight in some cases is very limited compared to other cities. Another downside to the trees, especially in neighborhoods and parking lots, are that as beautiful as trees are, they do make a mess. Gutter cleaning, leaf raking, and sap removal on cars can be a nuisance in the more heavily tree-covered areas. But let's face it, the pros of having the tree coverage is much greater than the cons, as Raleigh's abundance of parks are one of its biggest strengths and really help you escape the everyday hustle of the city. On the topic of spending time outdoors, the most polarizing topic from newcomers is one that many people come here for, and that's the weather. If you're coming from the north, you'll say that Raleigh never gets cold, and the humidity feels like Florida, while those from the south will say that Raleigh is freezing. In actuality, Raleigh has a very balanced climate with an even spread of all four seasons that can get pretty hot in the summer and somewhat cold in the winter. But one thing everyone can agree on is the extreme nuisance of the roughly 3-week pollen cloud that occurs around the April timeframe every year. Literally everything outdoors is covered in yellow dust, and if you have allergies, it can wreak havoc on you. Another beloved outdoor activity in Raleigh is one that it's famous for, and that's its tailgating and overall sports culture. I hear from quite a few people how surprised they are about the passion for college sports, and especially for tailgating before events. There's no doubt that pride in your college is a big deal around here, especially with NC State, Duke, and UNC all being within 45 minutes of each other, and ECU not being much further as well. Beyond college sports, Raleigh is crazy about the Carolina Hurricanes, and that passion has helped win the vote as one of the hardest arenas in the NHL for opposing teams to play in for active NHL players. Raleigh loves the Hurricanes and is a starving fan base for more professional sports like an MLB expansion team. Here's the thing though that drives both newcomers and current residents crazy. Raleigh was not planned to be this size, and the city is constantly playing catch up. That is not only the driver of the spread out entertainment, but also of the constant construction that's going on. Raleigh is going to look much different in 10 to 15 years given all of the growth developments and roadway improvements. But getting there can be painful. And because it wasn't built with its current size in mind, these improvements are impacting the most traveled roadways and developments, which drive residents crazy in their everyday lives, especially roadway projects that never seem to make any progress. But throughout all the changes, one thing that Raleigh has done an incredible job of is keeping constant to its reputation as a safe city, which is a very common question from newcomers. Raleigh is one of the safest capital cities in America and honestly does not have many locations that I would completely avoid. It's very family oriented as a whole, and knowing that reputation goes above and beyond to ensure it maintains safety. And homelessness is another question that is brought up a lot, and despite a recent uptick like many cities have seen over the past 5 years due to rising costs, Raleigh's homeless population remains relatively small when comparing to other major cities. Another mixed review for the area for those with families is the school system. The Raleigh area schools, which includes the Wake County Public School System, is very strong and is a pipeline for NC State and UNC, but many people do find it confusing. What do I mean by that? Two things. The first is that there are so many different schools to choose from beyond just your base public school. There's a large number of charter schools that each have separate lottery systems for acceptance and a decent sized private school network as well. So with all of the different options and lottery systems, it can be a lot to navigate to figure out the best school for your children. Another growing pain of the area is that schools often get overcrowded, leading the school to becoming capped, meaning any new students moving into the assigned district for a capped school are enrolled in a backup school, and sometimes that is not ideal for families. So you'll get a quality education here, but it can be complicated to navigate. And lastly, one of the most common questions I get right off the bat is whether or not to live in Raleigh or the suburbs. And I have a whole video breaking down this difference, but you will find that many people new to the area, especially those with families, end up settling in the suburbs given the affordability when compared to similar homes in Raleigh itself. Raleigh is great, but its most popular locations have become very expensive for the majority, which is why Raleigh suburbs have gained the popularity that they have over the years. Cary and Apex were named as two of the top places to live in America this past year, and Holly Springs and Wake Forest are also becoming very popular. So what will you choose, location or affordability? We can help you find that perfect balance and would love to work with you if you're looking to move to the area. And for those wanting more information, please check out our videos that we'll link throughout, as well as those that are on the screen now. Thank you for watching.